right, everyone. It is From the Margins with James Afont. I am your co host, David Washington, and we have James Afont. Jimmy, welcome back.
Thank you. And I hope you all are doing well. And let's start with the first bomb for today. Look, for those of you who keep telling me that the tariffs haven't impacted, with all due respect, they're less than a week and a half away. And what we have learned, and this is the false economy reports, yes, there has been a high in imports. Dummy, the highs are that people are buying car parts. They're buying things from China and they're buying things from other countries before the tariff started. So these numbers in July that there was more sales, more imports, yes, because we were afraid this was going to happen. So I have a stock of my car parts that I don't have to fear about paying tariffs and so on. But get yourself ready for September. But for those of you who still tell me that tariffs have not impacted you, where are you? In what country do you live? And in what universe do you live? Have you been to
Right.
the stores lately? Because everything is more expensive. Even the Dollar Tree doesn't have anything for a dollar for years. And even the things that were $1.25 don't exist. As a matter of fact, if you see the little red things on them, that is because they're covering the things that they ordered ordered from a manufacturer with the price of 125, and now with the tariffs they cannot sell a 125 at a profitable thing, so they put a little yellow tag, red tag. They have employees putting little red tags because it's going up to 150 or 175. So don't tell me that tariffs have not impacted, because you could go to Dollar Tree, you could go to Publix, you could go every place. They are there. But here is the truth about tariffs. There's three truths about tariffs. One, the bully wants to bully the other countries. I'm going to put a tariff on your products, and that's going to hurt your economy. So you're going to have to give me $2 or $3 million or $4 million, put it deposit in my bit account, and I'll take away your tariff. Okay, for those of you who think that that's not the truth, fine, that is the truth. Two, tariffs are a way of giving into the Republican conservatives who believed in what was called border adjustment tax, and those who believed in a fair tax, which was, hey, let's put an income tax on what people buy, and that way we can then take away their income tax. Why? Because they know that you're going to pay more for a fair tax on the sales tax, because one, you don't have any exemptions. Okay,
Yeah.
give you an example. You receive Social Security, you're a certain age, you're in a certain category, you don't pay taxes on that income. Okay,
Right.
you don't. But if you go to buy something at Dollar Tree, you're paying the tariff tax, and the tariff tax is being collected from you. Oh, but we always had a sales tax. No, that's the state sales tax. Now we have a second tax. So now we're paying double tax. We're paying a state tax and we're paying a federal income tax. Thank you, Donald Trump. Third, and this is where it becomes even more interesting, it is the ignorance that if I tariff something, the factories are going to come back. Look, if we had control of the factories, they would have been back years ago. Look, all our pills are manufactured in Indonesia and in Philippines. Okay, some in Puerto Rico.
Right.
Why? Because it is cheaper to produce there. Why? Because there's no regulations there. Why? Because they can abuse their employees there. Simply put. For example, do you know that some of these countries don't have overtime payment? They don't.
Yes, sir.
You know that these countries, if you get injured in the job, you're up the creek without a
That's
paddle.
correct.
Do you realize that in these countries, if you go to your boss and say, "Hey, I'm being sexually harassed," it's going to say, "Yeah, that's me. What's the problem?" Uh, so when people tell me that this is going to bring back jobs here, all I have to ask you, what jobs? Because the production is still cheaper out there, and as long as the production is cheaper out there, It is okay. Now, the other truth. We have a trade deficit. Yes, we do. Why?
Yes.
Because we're a consumer country. I hate
Yes.
to say this. People go to Dollar Tree, and when I look what they have in their basket, I say, three-quarters of that is junk. You don't need that. You really don't need that. But you're going to buy it because you think it's a good price, you think it's a good deal, so you're buying junk that you don't need. What does
Amen.
Timu live off? They're dollar deals. I looked at them. I've never purchased anything from the dollar deals, but I find it no, none of that interesting that people would consider to buy things that really. As a matter of fact, one of the dollar deals that they have that I've always found interesting are the little hooks that you put your glasses to. They have them for 50 cents. Okay, great. How many people need those things? I don't, but it is
Right.
what it is. So we're going to see this how it works out now. Trade deficit. It's very common. It is extremely common. I'll give you an example. I have a trade deficit with Wendy's, McDonald's, Burger King, Chick-fil-A, Culver's. And when you say, well, those are fast food places. Yeah, I go in there, I buy food, and they don't buy anything from me. That is a trade deficit. My
Yeah.
barber, I pay him, he never buys anything from me. That's what's called a consumer country. The United
Yes.
States sells services. Right now, what is the thing that everybody's buying? Hulu, Netflix, what I call
Streaming
streaming
service.
services. That's the
Yes.
big industry in this country. But it's
Yes.
not only sold here, it's sold worldwide. Paramount Plus and all these others are sold worldwide. And people are buying those, putting them on their phones, and that is what we're selling, and what they're selling us is other things. So, people, there is a trade deficit since the beginning of the world. Example, when you talk about the spice route, people will go into a place, put out their spices, people will buy them. That was a trade deficit. I'm buying from you spices, but you're not buying anything from me. So, that is a lie that they've been selling us. We have a trade deficit. Of course, we have a trade deficit. We have more money than the other countries. Okay, we have more money than Vietnam. Of course, there's a trade deficit. They cannot buy at the same level that we buy. Plus, they sell us tennis shoes that they make for $6 for 200 called Nike. But
Guilty.
that's another thing that we have to say. Really, do you need a $200 tennis shoe? I
Yes. if it's Nike, yes.
see.
Guilty. That I am a Nike fan. Goes back to the Air Jordan era. So, and I need some new tennis shoes. For
Yeah,
tennis, literally for tennis.
yeah. And half of them they don't even wear them. They keep them in the box. Okay, that's the other thing because I collect stamps. And people go, you collect little stamps? Why do you collect little stamps? Why do you pay so much money for those little stamps? Hey, you take Nikes, you pay $300 in a box, don't use them, and say no, this is a collector's item.
Yeah.
Okay, so don't criticize. So this is what I'm trying to say. Yes, we buy from Vietnam tennis shoes,
Yes.
and realistically, they don't have the money to buy from us. That is a trade deficit. But that is the lie. Look, let me say this. In economy, there's theories. If we do this, this should happen. That's a theory. The theory that the idiot of Peter Navarro has is that if we put tariffs, companies are going to come rushing back here because they don't want to pay the tariffs. Idiot. They don't pay the tariffs. We pay the tariffs.
That's
And I'll
right.
give you an example. I'm using you again.
Okay.
They put a tariff on Vietnam. So instead of the Nikes costing you 200, they cost you 235. Are you going to stop buying
Right.
Nike? No, you're not.
No.
No, you're not.
No. I am not. I am
Okay.
not.
And I'm using Vietnam because Vietnam got a hike in their tariffs. And there's where Nikes are produced. Okay. So instead of $200, now they're 235. You're still going to buy them. Okay, I'm sorry, you still could buy them. So basically, who's going to eat up the tax? You.
That's right.
Tariff is a indirect way of Donald Trump taxing you in addition. You pay the tariffs. They don't. Up to now, they say that the companies have been eating it. No. If you talk to some of the theorists in economy, well, we had this shoe that we purchased 6 months ago. We have it in stock and we pay so much, and this is the price we set on it. We're not going to just increase it because the other new shoes are that. An example of how that works, and this is so you can understand how this works and the market works because you do it every day. Did you ever wonder why gasoline comes up and down? It's very simple. The dealer paid the last tank at X amount of dollars per
Correct.
gallon. Okay. Now, the next week, they come in and they charge him a different price. So he's selling you with a profit of what he paid for. That's
Correct.
why sometimes, but what's this thing of the gasoline going up and down? Is what you sell it for. And for the record, gasoline does not have tariffs. So it's not
That's
a
right.
tariff issue. It is an issue of free market. Now the price goes up, now the price goes down, whatever. That is it. So what you have that a lot of people say, well, this prices haven't gone up. Yeah, because Dollar Tree purchased 2 million of this product and they paid this much and they're going to charge you that much. Uh, that's fine. Once a new shipment comes in and it's at higher price, you're going to pay for it. That's why I say the all tennis shoes are not Nike. They don't have a tariff, but the new ones that are going to come in with the tariff that Vietnam has been paying, that's almost 35%. Get ready. And you know the philosophy behind that, why they did that with Vietnam? Because a lot of the MAGA people think that tennis shoes are luxury. You could buy one for $12.99 that will break in a week, but you could buy one for $12.99. Why would you buy something that's worth $100 or $200? That's the rich people, so screw them. We'll tax them. I did not know you were a rich person, David, but apparently you are
I
rich.
I've learned that if you buy quality, and I have to preface this, not all brand names are quality. At one point, Nike was a superior shoe. Now there are other brands who that are, I believe, much more superior. And Nike is not necessarily my go-to if I'm purchasing shoes for tennis, for playing tennis. They just don't make the shoe that I like. Now, if it's for walking or for exercising, I would still go to a different brand because the quality of shoe, the running or walking shoe that Nike used to make, is just not the same. Now, if I want something stylish that I'll wear occasionally, it's straight to Nike. Jimmy, you made me think last week after our conversations about the tariffs and everything. And I talked to some more people, and yes, people are feeling that their dollars are not going as far as it used to. And I see it, you see it, everyone sees it in the stores. And maybe this is a stretch, Jimmy. I was thinking in overdrive with this approach to tariffs and this economy that's changing is one of the inadvertent realities from what Trump's economic agenda is the fact that it's changing consumer behavior.
Uh, to be honest, this is my problem. I don't think that Trump has a economic strategy. He's always
Okay.
been pro tariffs. He's always thought and been a firm believer, and I understand this, disagree with him heartily, that if you bring it, the tariffs will bring back factories. I don't. Uh, that bird has flown away and it's not coming back. Unfortunately, and people in this country do not want factory jobs, and I'm going to call it the way it is. They don't want factory jobs. As a matter of fact, it's kind of interesting. The little factories that we have here, that where they manufacture. I'll give you an example. Last year, Vance and Trump said that it was a town in Ohio that the Haitians were eating the
Right.
cats. Okay,
Got it.
found that kind of disgusting. But
Yeah.
why were those people in that town? Because there was a small factory in that town, and the Hades were the ones who were working the factory. Were
That's
there
correct.
white people in that town? Yes. Did they choose not to work in that factory? Yes.
That's
So
correct.
when you're saying we're going to bring back manufacturing jobs, what for? I mean, right now, a town in Ohio had to go basically to Miami, Florida, and entice Haitian people to move to their town and say, hey, there's jobs
Yeah.
here. Well, they did it through the internet. I understand they didn't
Right.
fly down there, but they put in the internet, we are looking for people to work in here. And
And they went.
and the fact that it was translated to Haiti, I mean,
Korea.
to Creole, was just a pure coincidence. Bullshit. But it happened, and all these people contacted them. They were offered jobs, and they lived there. Okay,
Right.
okay, and and yes, one got into an accident and killed a kid, and all that. Okay, like we Americans don't commit crimes. As a matter of fact, one of the things that's is kind of interesting is that uh, was we're going to discuss later about Washington D.C. But the the truth is that that factory was going to go down not because there was a lack of sales, not because there was a lack of demand, not because the product was overpriced. It's because it couldn't find Americans, white or African Americans. I'm going to call it the
Mm.
way it is because that town has African Americans
You're, you're
didn't
right.
want to work in that factory either. Okay, so let's stop pretending well about no. It was the people from that town in Ohio chose not to work in that factory, but those are the factories we want to bring back.
Correct.
Okay, so what for? I have no idea. Uh Now
Hmm.
this is where it's going to be interesting. We're talking about the borders and how this thing is going to affect us. Well, let's talk about some southern borders that we don't discuss. Right now, the border of California, Los Angeles, and San Francisco ports and San Diego ports are down 25% in imports.
That's correct.
Uh, why? I don't know. But when you are 25% down in work, there are dock workers who are being let go because it's not enough work for them. Uh, Dock workers tended to vote MAGA, and I'm wondering if they're going to continue to vote MAGA. The other border is we have pissed off our best friends, our best neighbors, our closest friends, our biggest purchasers, our biggest supporters, the person who had our backs for more than 100 years, and that's Canada. Why? Because we have an idiot who thought it was funny to say, why don't you become the 51 state? You don't have a Congress who will bring in Canada, because if you bring in Canada as a 51 state, it will control the whole United States of America because it's
North
larger
America.
than us. And it has the same economy than us. So no, it's not going to happen, idiot.
Okay.
At the same time, we're going to put tariffs on you. Why? Well, because we want to. It shows we are a country that has no name. We can't be trusted. Why? Because in 17, the same idiot that we have as president negotiated with Canada and Mexico and signed an agreement. Was this 22 years ago? No, no. This was
Yeah.
5 years ago. Five.
Oh, okay.
And, and now he wants to renegotiate and tell them what to do. And what has Canada told us is to go fuck ourselves. What has Mexico told us to do? Go fuck ourselves. Right
Hmm.
now, we have pissed off other countries. Now, if you want to say, well, we don't give a shit about the other countries, yeah. What about your economy? You have places like even Ron Paul, the senator from Kentucky, saying that he's pissed off with this terrorist thing because the Kentucky whiskey that was sold, 40% of all Kentucky whiskey was sold in Canada, and it's not being purchased because Canada told, fuck you, we're not, uh, we're not going to buy your whiskey. It's affecting us So when you say, well, who cares? Everybody cares because you do not live in a vacuum.
I recently saw an article about how the bourbon business in Kentucky, Jimmy, is faltering. I mean, they're 60%, maybe I'm wrong, but a large number of refineries are closing, going bankrupt. And this is a major industry in bourbon country in Kentucky. And that is sad to see.
And it's sad to see because it didn't have to be this way.
Mhm.
Look, I'm going to ask one question to President Trump. What have you accomplished, President Trump, by pissing off the world? How has that made us safer, more financially stable, or even for that matter, more respected? Because all three answers to those questions is no, no, and no. So
Mhm.
President Trump, a few minutes ago, David, you asked me what was his uh, economic plan. I don't know because pissing off other countries is not an economic plan. That's a disaster. Putting tariffs on other countries' products coming in, that is not a plan. That is a disaster. Uh, uh, Calling other leaders of the countries idiots or by bad
Yeah.
name, that is not a plan. That is a
Right.
disaster. So right now, we can take the bourbon as one example. There's a lot of other products that are not being purchased at all. We live in Orlando, and if the Orlando visit is correct, the uh, flights coming from Canada, bringing tourists this summer, which is our big season. For those of you who do not know, in Orlando, our big season is summer. For some strange reason, people love to come and suffocate to death, but that's beside my thing. Is that when the longest hours Disney's operating and all that, as that it's been down by more than 62%. Now, is that a pure coincidence? Is that the heat? I don't think it's neither. I think it's a response to that we pissed us off. As a matter of fact, I know somebody who went to Canada because they had to go for business, and he got an earful. They do not like us because they believe that we believe in everything the idiot in the White House does. And I don't think they understand democracy. That maybe some people voted for him because the Democrats put a bad candidate. Maybe some people voted for him because they thought the economy was going to be booming by this time and not floating like it is at this time. Maybe people thought, like he told them, that once he got elected and one day he would solve all their problems, which he has not. He's still going. The war in Ukraine is still going strong. He still doesn't know how to deal with Putin, but he's going to go talk to him, and Putin is going to rub him around his finger and pull him in, and we're going to be screwed. So
Right.
basically, at this point, the question is, can you tell me? Put in your comments. This is a comment. I mean, one thing that you think has helped the economy of the United States in the last 6 months. One thing, and maybe I could discuss it with you and I can respond to you because likes and unlikes, that takes 2 seconds. One button. You want to make a comment? I invite you to make a comment. Let's discuss
That's
it.
that's a good idea, Jimmy. And you know something, Jimmy? I think as we go into the fall and as the 2026 election cycle heats up, I think we should advertise in advance that we'll do a live show and encourage people to watch the show across all the
I like
platforms
that idea.
and make their comments and if we get fancy enough maybe have a few call-ins, but I think that's a good idea of specifically asking viewers and listeners to comment to that specific question, because we do have comments. We do have comments. Some are questions, and some are statements. And regardless of how ludicrous they are, I respond to them in a respectful manner. And I think that's a great idea. And again, I think in the fall we should have a special live show and advertise it in advance that we will have a live show and we'll be welcoming comments and questions.
Okay, and that would be good. As a matter of fact, yesterday I had lunch with a friend of mine, and he made a comment that's still in the back of my brain.
That's it.
He asked me a question: do you think that the United States is in the decline, or is it just me? Do you
Mm.
think that we are now being ruled and run by people who really do not understand how the world works, how the global economy works, how it is important for us to work with other countries and not just think of ourselves and think isolate ourselves from the rest of the world? Do you think that will be the downfall for the United States? And I was like, whoa, that is a deep question. And
Mm.
it's the one that's worth discussing. It really is. Are we doing better economically now than we were 2 years ago? I would say no. Are
Hmm.
we are we a stronger country worldwide right now? No. Are we a respected, not feared? Because some people do we're feared. Nobody fears us anymore. That's bullshit. Uh, are we a respected country now as well we were 2 years ago? I have to say no. Are there more countries and leaders who dislike us right now? I have to say yes. Are countries stopping to buy our products? Yes. Are countries starting to think of us in a different way that they did? Yes. Oh, but the America is the greatest country and everybody wants to come here. People want to come here for economics, not for any other reason. Stop believing that it's everything else. Or like they said in the newsroom, look, freedom of the 208 countries recognized in the world, I would say 75% of them have freedom. Japan has freedom. Canada has freedom. Mexico has freedom. Uh, all the European Union has freedom. UK has freedom. Uh, half of the countries in Africa have freedom. Uh, I hate to say this. Half most of the countries in South and Central America have freedom. Uh, Realistically, what are we talking about? Oh, that our freedom is different. Well, lately, I'm not sure because now it's a felony to throw a sandwich at a cop. God knows it. If that was the case in Chicago,
Oh,
everybody would be in jail. Uh,
that's correct. Yes.
okay, and now they want to arrest you because if you talk to an agent who's arresting somebody and you're criticizing that agent, the way he or she is conducting himself, they want to make that a felony. So that's
Mm.
don't criticize other countries if you're going to do that. And it is a question that we might want to discuss in a live room. Is the United States in a decline? Is the idea of making America great again is because half of the Americans who voted for Trump think that it isn't? This is an interesting question. If you think, as a MAGA, that you need to make America great again, are you recognizing that today it's not? Because if it's not, if it is a great country today, what are you talking about making it great again? It is already great.
I think the premise is that the supporters of the president do not think that America's great at this time. Now, on the flip side, many of them believe that we're entering into a golden age. We're seeing the financial system looks like a reset, getting a reset. Um, we're seeing industry, a new industry, a revolutionization of our economy in technology. And I think, going back to that question about the billionaires and millionaires who have no concept or little concept of the larger world, I think they see the advent of enhanced intelligence in our technology as a means of redefining our culture, our economies, our education systems, our health systems, that they are ushering in a new world for everyone, and that they're the gatekeepers to this new world, unfortunately. And
and and they're going to make money off the new world.
yes, they are. Yes, they are.
Okay, so let me put technology in its proper perspective. We're talking through technology.
Okay.
It depends on technology to function. So before you start saying, well, no, I'm not against technology, but I'm going to give you an example of something that we have a tendency to forget. Oh, technology is good. Bullshit. I'm going to ask you a question. Do you remember Windows 98?
Oh boy, do I remember that was crap. Yes,
Windows,
I do.
Windows 98 was not crap. You know what was crap? Was Vista.
Yes, yes, you're right. You're right. You know something, Jimmy? I sit corrected. You're right, because I remember having Vista going back to '98. So yes,
Bingo.
you're right. You're
So
right.
when people tell me it's new technology, it's going to be great, they told me that with Vista, okay? And hey, you could go suck an egg. Vista was a piece of shit, okay? There were
Yes,
people who were paying IT people to come in and take out
this,
Vista and put in 98.
that's
Go
right.
back, not go forward. And
That's
it
right.
forced, in a matter of years, of Microsoft to go back and create Windows 10. And I'm going to say this, and I have Windows 11. I'm not sure there's major difference between one and the other than a way of them making a buck, because now you have to subscribe every year. In the past, you would buy a package and you would install it, and that was it.
Correct.
You were good to go. They would update it and stuff and maintain it. Okay. The best software I've ever had in my life was Windows 98. The
Okay.
others, okay. So when you tell me that there's something new and great, the bullshit. Artificial intelligence. Right now, attorneys are having problems because artificial intelligence is meant to be creative.
Okay.
Now, I would say, hey, here's David Washington's case. Here's this file. We need to do a brief in this area. Go do it for me. Which will make the need for lawyers useless, but that's another story for another day. What has happened is that by creative, IA understands that it creates.
Correct.
So it will go and create laws that don't exist, or laws. Here's what it's kind of stupid. Okay, we're arguing Florida law, but there's a law in Alabama that has the same title. So just so you can understand the algorithms, okay?
Ooh.
Okay, has the same title, and it would search and it would quote you in that brief a law that doesn't exist in Florida. It does exist in Alabama, and it's quoting it correctly in Alabama because the algorithm has uh, found the title and it matched it. What it couldn't do is differentiate between Florida and Alabama.
Alabama.
Okay, that's has created problems of briefs that have been filed that then people find that out. The other algorithm that they have a problem with is that the way you prepare as an attorney is this case helps me, but let me prepare myself because this case screws me. The algorithm is just looking for the case that helps you and would not come up and say, hey, but you might want to be aware of this one that might screw you. So you walk into the courtroom half ill prepared. The other thing is, let's talk about algorithms so we can understand them. Have you ever purchased something from Amazon and you get an email 2 days later offering you the same fucking product?
Yes.
And
And
you
that's
bought a printer from them, and then they offer you, hey, you might like these others 3 printers that are similar to the one we just told you. You really think I'm going to buy another printer? I just bought one 2 days ago, but the algorithm doesn't is not smart enough to understand that.
Right.
I'm going in October to Puerto Rico for a week. Thank God. I am going to be in the Caribe Hilton, drinking pina coladas and enjoying life. So
Very nice.
okay. They have chat with us, okay, and it's an artificial intelligence. I ask them a couple of questions. The response I get, we are IA and we're not programmed to answer this type of questions. Let me find you a human. So when we think that it's going to take over, I am concerned
Yeah.
because sometimes my doctor, they might stand and say, my concern is that if I would have used the artificial intelligence, the stem that would have been recommended was this, but because of your condition of that's not the right one. But the artificial intelligence cannot put that variant into it. So, for those of you who think that artificial intelligence is going to be something that's going to solve all our problems, no. What it's going to do is that if it's something simple, routine, and automatic, yeah. Uh, you know where artificial intelligence started from? Frequently asked questions. Picked it up and prepared the answer for the frequently answered questions. That was artificial intelligence many years ago. The concern I have is how dependent are we going to be on technology? I remember once seeing a chapter of the Big Bang Theory in which uh, I can't remember which character Googled something. And the truth of the matter is that they started looking at it. Then somebody figured out, hey, you spell this correctly, but it's not the one that we're looking for. We're looking for this other one. They were already working on something because the spelling was similar, but the wrong thing. But it was
Right.
something that existed, and Google did give them an answer. So it's even as simple as if you misspell, how you go there, or my all-time favorite. Oh God, I hate Siri. Could you just looking for this? Oh yes, no, that's not what I told you, Siri. Is this okay? So when people tell me, we're be careful. Artificial intelligence is as good as the person using it and reading it.
Yes.
As a matter of fact, I always find it interesting. One of the jokes about those of us who text, and this has happened to you, how many times have you said that was a auto check mistake?
Ah. Oh my goodness.
That's artificial intelligence
Oh,
correcting spelling. Okay,
and we go back to double checking before we send it, despite the auto correct.
you
And
know, I didn't mean that. That was autocorrect. I get those texts once a week. So when people don't know artificial intelligence is going to take over, I'm scared because
and,
if I
and
say
you make a good point. Oh, go ahead, Jimmy. Go ahead.
if I say tuck you and end up correcting you say fuck you. So
And
if
you
I say
made a
fuck you,
good
I go
point,
tuck
Jimmy.
you. It's yeah. Go ahead.
You made a good point that the resource, the tool, the artificial intelligence tool is as good as the user. And I've stopped using the word or the term artificial intelligence, and start speaking from the experience of the user and see this technology as enhanced intelligence. I'm now able to be a copywriter or a producer of the podcast based on some of the things that I see in other professionals in the field and in the world, because the world is on the internet, and I'm able to attain their knowledge base, their knowledge graph, their skill set based on what they put out there, and say, oh, okay, I want to be Mr. Beast. Okay, AI, Gemini, Claude, Chat, GPT, Perplexity, whatever, you are Mr. Beast. And you are creating a new podcast for me that is persuasive, fun, great concepts, similar to what Mr. Beast has put together. And it all boils down to contextual engineering, the context of your prompts. And now, the AI will come back, the bot will come back with, a prototype of the type of podcast I would want to produce based on the attributes of Mr. Beast. So that's how I see it. It enhances the skills that I already have beyond the costs that I would have to occur if occur that I would have to take on if I hired a producer or a copywriter or so forth and so on.
And thank you, because now, if there's anything that's going to happen, is that artificial intelligence is making many jobs unnecessary and or reducing the amount of people. Of course, if you're going to do a big movie, you're going to have to find somebody, a copywriter. If you're doing a big movie, yes, you're going to have
Right.
to find an editor. Yes, if you're making a big movie, you're going to have to find a cinematographer instead of using the little cameras that I use in the top of my monitor. I agree, not a problem. But right now, that is a very small industry. But the truth of the matter is that now you have people calling themselves influencers, getting free dinners or getting free lunches and everything. And by the way, one of the statistics that came up, do you know which is the area that is most hurting and losing industry in this country? Restaurants.
Uh, Restaurants,
Restaurants.
really?
Yep.
Why is that, Jimmy? Is it because there's automation? Are we talking about fast food, casual dining, or elegant dining, or all of the above?
All of the above. And it's because of two things. One, cost. You see, I hate to say this, you realize that you go to Chick-fil-A and you want a number one, which is a chicken sandwich with some fries and a Coke, and that's almost $11. Uh,
Whoa! I'm sorry. It's been $11, Jimmy.
that's 10 something. I rounded up to 11.
Damn.
Okay. Hey, you go to Fasoli's, which is not the greatest Italian restaurant in the world, and the average plate is $10, and when you add a drink for three something, you're in $14. That's the other thing that a lot of people say. I mean, it's kind of interesting. I like to go at Pescatore. They have 9.99 lunches, very good.
Yes.
But then if you want a drink, it's 3.50. So now you're talking 12.50 for lunch. And the thing is that the cost of people not being able to every day spend $15 or $16 for lunch, and much less for breakfast or dinner. Look, you go to a restaurant right now, and the cheapest plate is $17. Let's stop pretending. I mean, and I said restaurant. I didn't say what am I talking about. You go to McDonald's, and their combos are $8 and $9 each. You all know that. So, what we're talking about is that the cost has driven down. The other issue is that basically, and this is the one that nobody's discussing, is that basically people do not want to work in restaurants. They
Mhm.
don't. It's not something that they want to do. As a matter of fact, the other day there was a problem in one of our local restaurants because their two dishwashers got picked up,
Oh.
and there was when they said, "Well, do you have some friends who might want to be dishwashers?" No, they're not leaving the house. Why? Guess why? So yes, people saying when I grow up, I want to be a waitress or a waiter. Well, that's not something that's a lot of people say that I want to be a dishwasher in a restaurant. No, so
Mhm.
it's becoming a problem also. But we're going to open factories. That's going to take care of all that. We're going to open factories. That's going to take care of all this bullshit. But yeah, it is becoming a problem. We'll see. But the question is,
Mhm.
President Trump, can you explain to me your economic development program for the United States? If it's just tariffs, then I'm not going to only criticize tariffs, but one thing alone is not going to solve our problems. It's not. What are you going to do about the lack of sales of our products worldwide? Are you going to have the government buy the bourbon from Kentucky and give it to me for free? Hey, I'm all for that, President Trump. You might want to do that. And when you say, well, that's ridiculous, that's what they did when they bought corn, cheese from Wisconsin, and all that. They gave it out in spam, for those of you who do not know it. So it is given out. So you might want to buy the bourbon and give it out too. Hey, I'm all for that. Now, we're getting close to, and I'm going to give you the fuck up of the week. First, I'm going to go with the Republicans.
Okay.
This is so fucked up. It's not even funny. We know that President Trump was unhappy with the numbers that came out of the Department of Labor, and he fired the young lady who was in charge of it.
That's correct.
He proposed a person who has no preparation, no qualification to do statistics, no knowledge of how they're done, and send them to be confirmed. The concern they had, which is legit, is that, and this is so fucked up. It's incredible. Is that he participated in the January 6th thing.
Right.
And their excuse is, but he didn't go in and he didn't get arrested. There was the line that they draw in the sand and say, yeah, well, we will consider this person. It wasn't based on unqualified. It wasn't that he has no other idea than that he's going to get the numbers from the White House. He's going to sign on them and say that they're good because he is a pro-Trump person and he has no problem to lie about statistics. Now, the problem that I have is that you can make up numbers. For years, Trump has made up numbers that are 100% bullshit. Okay. But the problem I have is that as a person who dabbles a little bit in economy, these numbers tell investors if they should or not invest and in what areas they should invest. Because contrary to popular belief, you could say it was 8% up, 2% up, 1% down, 3% down. No. It's areas. Right now, banks have stopped investing any serious money in restaurants because the restaurant business has been losing and closing down significantly in the last 3 years. And because they know that there's a major difficulty in hiring people to work there. So basically, the banks that say, we're not going to invest there. Now, if you come up with some fake number saying, hey, the restaurant industry is up 12%, which is, if they say that, I would know it's a lie. Most bankers would. But if they say it's up 4%, they might buy that. If they're going to say that the manufacturing industry is up, it's down. It's been down for years. Why? Because we don't have any manufacturing in this country. That's why the tariffs are bringing them back. If you're going to tell me that the two industries that are constantly up is your ex-industry, medical,
correct,
and hospitality. Those are the two ones that are up. And normally they're up during the summer because that's when tourism is up. So hospitality is up. And medical is up because they're creating a lot of new things that are up. As a matter of fact, the new thing in the United States is to have a aesthetic clinic, which the doctors in another state, and they hire staff and there who might have licenses as nurses, who would allow them to do the procedures, but the supervision, supposedly they pick up the phone, hey, what?
Okay.
And that's for Botox and all that because the vanity in this country is way high.
It's true.
So That is where I'm concerned, how it might affect the country. But the fact that Republicans' only concern was that he was, yes, he participated in the January 6th uh, matter in the Capitol, but he didn't go in and he was not arrested. That is what concerns me because they're not discussing his qualifications. And this is where I am concerned about our future. Look, I know they have tried to put us down that we're elite, that we know more than them, that we went to college and the college people are stupid and they're ruining this country, and that the liberals eat kids and the Democrats eat kids and Pizzagate and all this, and the only people in the Epstein list are Democrats. The reason they don't want to release the Epstein files is because Donald Trump is on them. He was a friend, and we all know that. There's more than 1,000 pictures on the internet. I don't create them, and they're not self-created. They were there. They were friends. Okay. If he hanged out with younger kids, we don't know, but that's an issue for another time. But that he was a friend with a pedophile, that we do know for a fact. Okay. This is my concern, that the Democrats are kissing Donald Trump's ass. They're not doing their job. They're not saying, hey, this is the person's unqualified, and they're going to point him. Just like they did with the director of the FBI, the sub-director of the FBI, just like they did with Homeland Security, and I could keep on going. These people are not qualified to do their jobs. This is going to ruin this country. That's the fuck up of this week.
Jimmy, oh, Jimmy, I just want to say about the Bureau of Labor Statistics, the BLS, and the firing of its chief. I'm opposed to that. I think it was a rash move and quite ignorant. Now, saying that, I do understand that the reporting of those the reporting of those statistics is questionable because of the fact that the surveys that go out to the different businesses, over time, the response rate has become lower and lower and lower. So I don't think we're getting the true pulse of the labor, or at least the unemployment numbers or employment numbers. Let's put it that way. On the flip side of that, there was another report that came out earlier this week saying that unemployment claims are pretty much steady. And for the last 3 to 6 months, those claims have been pretty much on target as expected by economists. So this economy is definitely a mixed bag.
It is a mixed bag, and you have a point that less and less people are reporting, and you're correct. And the way it works is that a lot of people, let me explain, it's very simple, but people don't. I am reporting that I'm thinking about building a condominium on 436, and I'm going to need 180 people to do this, and I'm reporting that. Okay. At the end, I come back with my adjustment, say, yes, we did it with 140, so I gave you 40 more than I needed. Or, for example, I found out that what I did is I gave the plumbing to this company, and I don't know how many people they are. Yes, and that there's companies who just don't want to report it. That's true. And why don't they want to report it? Because most of them are using undocumented people, so they choose not to report it. So are the numbers good? Are they questionable? I would say yes, but for that matter, so is everything else.
True.
And that is the big problem with it. But at least they try to make adjustments. They don't take it at face value. When they realize that the numbers were off, they do come back and say, hey, we were off. And there's not too many people who admit we were wrong. This is the real numbers. Right. That's the part that I like about them. The question is that if you're going to go on unemployment, you know that Rick Scott admitted that he fucked up the system to make it virtually impossible for you to make a claim for unemployment.
Here in Florida.
Okay. And there's a lot of states who have done that. So there's a lot of people who might be unemployed and cannot collect. There might be some people who can't collect, and I'll give you an example. If you were to close your office, you cannot collect because you work for yourself. You're self-employed, and us, those of us who are self-employed, we can't collect. So we're not going to put a claim. So we're not there. There's people who are unemployed that don't report it because they never have work. What do you mean they never work? Well, you have a lot of people who basically have decided to work on what I call a subterranean economy. They go to your house, they install your computer, your monitor, you pay them with a check made to them personally, they deposit it to their account, and they never report to the IRS. No, they report that they're working. So, for all practical effects, it goes without saying. As a matter of fact, so when we talk about unemployment numbers, we've always known that they're fake. I mean, it's right because they're based on the factor that you apply for this unemployment.
Right.
Excuse me, you might not qualify for unemployment. I'll give you an example. I know people who I remember when I was a legal aid, somebody say they fired me, and I went to file for unemployment, and they would not give me unemployment because I said that my firing was justifiable. And well, yeah, it was. You showed up to your job drunk and falling down and throwing up. Yeah,
It's
that's
pretty
justifiable.
justifiable.
Yes, that's justifiable. Okay. Yeah. So people have learned that they cannot apply if it's unjustifiable, so they don't apply. Or I'll give you an example. I know somebody who was fired and the next day found a job. So basically, those people don't qualify for unemployment because they are not unemployed. They're employed. They just went to a different place. So when people tell me that it's based on that, no. People in Florida know that it's a waste of time, effort, and money to go and apply for unemployment because it's virtually impossible, and what they pay here in Florida is not worth. So that will fool around with the numbers. So yes, numbers are to a certain degree off. Numbers are relying on a algorithm that at times makes no sense, but it's what we have. What we do know is that hey, we have jobs that nobody wants. It's as simple as that. We
Sure.
import people from other countries
Yeah.
to do the jobs that we don't want. It's kind of interesting, but there's a joke that the people in California are pissed off because they have to cut their grass. So with that, let me give you the Democrat fuck up of the week.
Right.
Look, some people in my generation, the party, have this delusion. And I'll give you an example. Bill Moyer has it. Stephen A has it.
Oh,
Why is Stephen A even thinking about running for president? He has no concept of what he's doing.
yeah.
But he could talk pretty and talk like things that people want to hear. So I'll
Right.
give that he could do. But let's get this clear. He has no qualifications for it. But they have an illusion that if they go to the middle, that if they push away the left, just push them away, they can win the election because the MAGA people are going to stop being with MAGA and they're going to come to the Democratic Party.
No.
Okay, it's not gonna,
No.
you need to do what the Republicans did. They embrace their ultra white, conservative, white ideology and
Yeah.
said to the middle of the Republican Party, those that call themselves moderate, go and screw yourself because you are not part of the party, and they kicked them out. Look, right now, the two leading people in the Democratic thing by 1 point differential are Newsom and AOC.
Yes.
That's our internal numbers. That's not something invented. That's our internal numbers. The most popular person in Politics today is not Donald Trump. It's Bernie Sanders.
Okay.
Ultra liberal, ultra to the left, all this. Mathematically, if you were to take out of the Democratic Party and kicked out all what they call liberals or what they call to the left, what they call non-centrists, you would not have a party. You would be screwed. Do we need to talk about woke? No, we don't.
Okay.
Do we need to talk about our liberal agendas? No.
Okay.
We were showed by a young man how to run a campaign. Talk about affordability. Are your prices cheaper now than they were before? No, they're more expensive. Then let's change it. Look, and people need to listen to the whole discussion because I'm sick and tired of people lying about it. He said that he has in the city many places that used to be bodegas and then they used to be supermarkets and that are today closed, and that he would have the city open them, pay for the people to operate them, and take from the food banks and let people come in and take the food from the food banks directly into the neighborhoods, let them walk up and take their food home. That is the famous food banks that are going to cost us money that are socialist. Well, I have no problem. People don't have a problem with food banks, so it's just going to be distributed there. The buses for free, they're operated by the government.
Right.
The government giving us something free, I'm all for that. Sorry. I have no problem with that. But you need to stop talking about that he's crazy, that he's stupid, that he's corrupt, which he is, and all that. Start talking a campaign of affordability. Look, you might not like him, but the person who's attracting more public to his political meetings is not Donald Trump. It's Bernie Sanders with AOC.
Yeah.
Oh, but they are socialists. Hey, my old folks, my contemporaries, stop talking about socialists because you are one. Whoa, what do you call me a socialist? You live off Social Security. That is a socialist idea, a socialist plan. You pay into it and you are supported in your old age by the government.
Yeah.
That's a socialist plan. That's why it's called Social Security. They didn't even hide that it was a socialist plan. So stop saying that socialism is evil when you live off of it. Stop being hypocrites.
Good point.
With that in mind, comment. You could call me a jerk if you want. As long as you comment, I will respond to that comment and say that it takes one to know one. You could say that you like it. You could contradict me, say, well, you're wrong here, you're wrong there, and I would learn. And if you're right, I will comment it. Look, I commented the other day something that was commented that I found that they were right and I was wrong. And yes, but at this point, as a matter of fact, I said a few minutes ago, you're right. Terrorists have not started to hit us. That's a lot of comments that I've been receiving. So when I ask you to do that, yes, you can subscribe, you can like, you can dislike, you can send a referral to a friend and say, hey, I don't care if have you seen this asshole? You might want to see this asshole. Or you want to see this great Belgian old man? You can do that too. As long as you spread the word, I don't care. Just spread it. So with that in mind, I will see you next week. And
all right, Jim.
Good week. And remember, it's not the employees of the government that are screwing you. It's the politicians who are corrupt, especially U.S. Congress, U.S. Senate, and the U.S. President. Have a great week.
Enjoy your weekend. We'll see you the next time, Jimmy.
Take care.
Bye now.